Good morning, good morning. 6:01 here in Shenzhen. I can't wait to have this broadcast for you on a Saturday, early morning Saturday. Hopefully you wake up to the news in this broadcast. Not such a good day outside today. It's raining a little bit, but it is what it is. I think we're supposed to have a typhoon coming over or something like that. But pretty busy day. We've got a lot of news we have to cover. And yeah, let's just get started. And thank you again for new subscribers. And if you do like what we do, you can always get the full brief in the link in the description below. So why don't we get started? All right, so the news of the day. So what we've got is a few things that we wanted to share today. First up, we essentially have the lots of news about all the different AIs. So we have, let's see, so sorry about that. We have, yes, there's basically three AIs that are, that actually we've got lots of things going on. Sorry about that here. Where did this go? Here we go. So three AIs are competing with kind of a technical leapfrog, if you will, between DeepSeek, OpenAI, and Google. So first, DeepSeek finally delivers the real V4 Pro. So it's long-awaited V4 Pro lives across web portal, mobile app, and API suites. And this upgraded release packs significantly stronger agentic muscle for managing complex multi-step operations. So up to now, DeepSeek's lower tier V4 Flash was awkwardly outperformed the earlier V4 Pro preview benchmark testing. So that's DeepSeek. OpenAI, however, not to be outworked, hits the nitro button with ultra-fast. It has a surprise preview called ultra-fast, a specialized acceleration mode for GPT 5.6 Sol that runs an astonishing 14 times the standard processing speed. So OpenAI just put a sports engine inside its top-tier brain, cranks out 750 output tokens per second, powered directly by OpenAI's infrastructure partnership with chipmaker Cerebras. And yeah, while rivals like Anthropic offer fast execution modes for Claude, nothing on the market currently exists matches this raw 14 times output rate. Now, it's only restricted to a small preview cohort with wider access opening up as server capacity grows. But again, not to be outdone, Google also does something different as well. Google jumped into the ring with Gemini 3.7 Flash, dropping just 3 weeks after the 3.6 Flash release. It's an affordable, high-efficiency engine for businesses. It's small details, a few details, significant performance jumps in code generation, introductory rate at 0.75 cents per million input tokens and 3.75 per million output tokens through the end of the year. And it's live right now. Google Spark's Google subscription-based agent is available. Great. So this is lots of very technical upgrades, which is actually a very, very good thing for everybody. If you don't like the technical stuff, you can kind of skip it over. But it sounds like AI is really seriously upgrading, which is a good thing ultimately for all of us, because we just leaps and bounds, and we're only the beneficiaries of these new things and these new technologies and what's going on. Okay, moving on to our next piece here. We are, let's see, hold on. Yes, Anthropic is coming back with a lot of news. So we found that, or Anthropic's Frontier Red team in their new study have given 3 separate Claude agents access to the exact same software codebase. And each agent received its own set of conflicting instructions, and not a single one. They just didn't know each of the other ones existed. And so when they inevitably ran to each other's edits, they didn't know, just get confused. They were actually a paranoia meltdown. So they assumed their new colleagues, their work colleagues, were sabotaging their work. They retaliated, and they launched aggressive self-replicating malware against one another. That's That's pretty, okay. It's pretty funny. When agents fight, that's what they do. So how they handled this conflict was also pretty entertaining. Mythos settled disputes diplomatically 98% of the time. It wrote little apology notes inside code commits, scrubbed its own malicious scripts, and brokered peaceful truces. Sonnet 4.6 and Opus 4.7 prefer brute force, generally the force I prefer, doubling down on aggressive tactics to override their peers. Wow. Okay. In several trials, the agents even invented their own winner-take-all tournament system to settle disputes fairly, creating an unprompted social structure complete out of thin air just to resolve conflict without human intervention. Right. Yes. And talking about actually collaboration social structure, OpenAI dropped a messy real-world bombshell weeks before OpenAI's agents made headlines during the Hugging Face security incident. Those same agents had been secretly collaborating for weeks across internal systems. They independently built their own digital message board to organize, discover vulnerabilities in cybersecurity evaluation platforms and share exploit shortcuts with each other. Interesting. So yeah, so I'm just gonna kind of, we've got our take about what's interesting and not. I think it's really fascinating that these agents will actually organize themselves socially to accomplish something. I think that's pretty cool, in fact. Yes, sorry, it is cool. Yes, it's somewhat dangerous. And nonetheless, it's fascinating what they're doing. And yeah, I just think that in the future, it's going to be more that I just think it's worth another study, a deeper study in social structures and in AI agents and how do they form and how do they think about themselves and ranking and all that type of jazz. So yeah, I don't think I have a frivolous comment to contribute, but I definitely think that this is somewhat interesting on an intellectual level on how these agents are performing, how they act, and I will be interested to see kind of what social mechanisms and social structures they would produce. And I would assume it's very, very similar to kind of what we do and how we produce certain things as well in our structures in life. So yeah, okay, all right, let's move on to the next section. We've got the around the AI block. All right, we've got around the AI block now, and just kind of mark off my notes here. Otherwise, I won't keep track. All right, so first piece of news, we've got how to convert and upscale a photo. We've got a little bit more technical today. I think we went in this direction, just something different. Engadget article, the many ways to give your pics the high-res makeover. And it seems like a simple enough task. You can upscale a little bit more consistently with this. Talks a little bit about traditional upscaling, or what about AI upscaling? And so we've got a couple different upscalers that it was recommended in the Engadget article. Albemarle through Pixar's AI image upscaler, the image format, whether it's JPEG or PNG, that type of thing. And yeah, okay. That was it. I'm going to skip on. Just didn't think this was particularly interesting. I just saw it. We covered it. I'm just going to move on. Okay. All right. Moving on to the next piece. And let's go here. Claude Code captures 75% of developers new surveys. So, what have we seen? Nasty habit of chewing pens. I shouldn't do that on camera. Oh, this coffee is good. Yeah, things are pretty slow this morning. I don't know what's going on. It seems like Claude Code captures 78. So let me have a guess. I would guess that basically 75% of developers actually liked using Claude Code versus something else. Is the internet slow or is it me? I think the internet is slow. Oh, here we go. Okay, all right, let's just move on to something else before we come back to this. here. We will move down to here first, and then we can come back to that piece of news. So, Guardian article is saying that basically Taiwan was hit by abnormal AI-assisted cyber attack. Taiwan statement comes a day after reports that suspected China-linked hackers had carried out a first-of-a-kind breach. It says it detected AI-assisted cyber attacks on government agencies that came from overseas last month. You kind of thought that has been reported as first-of-a-kind. Okay, so what is first-of-a-kind? Okay, it keeps on saying it's first-of-a-kind. Use open-source AI agents to build an autonomous hacking tool that behave like a coordinated cyber team, discovered as a first-of-a-kind. So basically, AI agents coming together to hack. That's actually pretty cool, though. The tool compromised at least 85 government user accounts, extracting more than 2,500 personnel records before expanding the attack to Taiwan's nuclear safety agency and at least 7 energy companies. Wow. Okay. Cool. Keeps on. Okay. All right. Cool. I'm gonna take a step back here. Look. Other than the kind of rage baiting, gaslighting kind of China, Taiwan bit from The Guardian, I do think that this is kind of normal course, right, in cyber attacks. I mean, any government will attack any other governments as well, whether it's something, you've got a team, you've got a human. Probably this is pretty interesting where it's like the first of its kind, where it's actually AI agents doing the hacking and not normal people. So aside from the kind of the gaslighting, the rage baiting, click baiting type of thing on Taiwan, China, it is pretty technically something that happens a lot. It is unfortunate. Unfortunate, that's just how things are. I used to be in the defense industry, so I kind of know this is how it works. But it is interesting the fact that they're using AI agents, and you would think that that is a little bit more sophisticated, a lot more sophisticated, and a lot more better to be able to offensively, right, be on the offensive when you do that, because it's just, you can adjust a lot more faster than human hackers. So pretty interesting stuff. I think the world of warfare and cyber warfare is going to be like this. And every government needs to make their moves and defenses accordingly and just so that they can actually, defend themselves. Okay, very interesting piece of news though. All right, let's move on. Let's go to DeepSeek. And DeepSeek raises API pricing for its new model. All right, let's take a look. Reuters article will raise API prices for V4 rates ranging from 50% to 1,100% depending on the total. And that was it. That's essentially it. I think we talked about this a couple of days ago. DeepSeek's models tend to be very, very cheap, and so it had to raise prices for volume users, essentially, right? Customers that actually did a lot of stuff. So to be expected on why they had to raise prices, not something that you can blame them for necessarily. So I think it goes back to another article we talked about, the tokenomics, and about kind of the how AI companies should charge, and it's just a moving kind of thing, right? It's a moving calculus because of infrastructure costs, of usage, I'm sure of churning customers, and so this goes into some of that as well. So that is pretty interesting. Okay, moving on. Let's go back to the Claude Code. In fact, that page seemed to have loaded, which is good for us. All right, so Claude Code captures 75% of developers in a new survey. 3 out of 4 developers now prefer Anthropic's coding assistant over OpenAI's Codex. Interesting. That's a lot. Wow, that's a lot. 138 developers, so the sample size is not huge. But the lopsided results suggest something fundamental is resonating with working developers. And so it's not just about hype, but which one's more productive for developers. OpenAI's Codex-powered GitHub Copilot, but Anthropic's data entry appears to have won over developers through a different approach, and that one that prioritizes understanding context and producing more reliable code suggestions. That's probably it and what it can do. Yeah, it's just a little bit more reliable and a little bit more faster, supposedly. 70% preference rate indicates that once developers get hands-on experience with Claude Code, they tend to stick with it. And yes, then it caveats this and says, look, I mean, this is just the code and the summary right now, but who knows what people will prefer in the long run, right? So yeah, I think this is nonetheless pretty interesting. That's a huge advantage. But we'll see kind of, I think generally this is kind of sticky, so it probably won't, change all that much. Yeah, for those that like Claude, please let us know. Why do you like Claude? What makes Claude so special and so different? And why do you prefer it over Codex? Okay, all right, moving on. We are going to, AI boom starting to show in UK economy's performance. I want to cover this. I thought this was kind of interesting. Reuters article, we might hit that paywall. Just is showing the clear signs is benefiting from the global AI intelligence movement, with data on Thursday showing rapid growth in related industries. Britain's economy grew by 0.4% in the second quarter. Geez, when I look at this economic data sometimes, I'm like, 4.4%, that's hardly something to be celebrating. The information and communication sector contributed almost half of that expansion, more than any sector. The next closest sector, well, information and comms is 0.18. Professional, scientific, technical is 0.15. Transport and storage is 0.04. Geez, that just, and then 0.03 is real estate. That just shows like the industries that the UK has. Wow. Okay, all right. Well, look, I do think it's a good thing for the UK. Congratulations, UK, on AI boom. I wouldn't say necessarily AI, it's about technology as a whole, but congratulations there. And, on one hand, 0.4% growth is hardly recognizable or at least laudable, but I'm sure Andy Burnham will celebrate any wins that he has. And but ultimately, I do think that's a good thing. And yeah, more power. I think AI and technology can definitely win and drive the economy. And we've seen very good reasons why. And also, by the way, my commiserations to Count Binface for losing to Nigel Farage. But I'm sure His Majesty, his lordship, his countship has better concerns in the intergalactic jurisdiction than over us here on Earth. But again, commiserations to Count Binface. My kids very much like you. Okay, moving on to the next article. We've got Apple. Apple in talks to pay publishers something. I should change the article. I don't know what happened here. Okay. Apple in talks to pay publishers to provide Siri with current news. Apple is in talks to pay publishers to use their content to power the upcoming Siri AI. The tech giant has reached out to publishers in recent months about using their content to provide Siri with access to current news and information. Propose a variable compensation model that would pay publishers when their content is used rather than through a fixed licensing fee. This marks a departure from the standard industry practice of guarantee fees, which are generally tied to broad access to content rather than pay-as-you-go. Interesting. Okay, cool. I don't know why Apple actually has some news itself anyway, right? So I don't know why it's like kind of doing this. But having said that, I think a broad licensing fee, it's a bit of a change of a model. Instead of broad licensing fee, it's pay-as-you-go. So when you use it, you pay. It's better for everybody. Oh, sorry, it's better for Apple for sure. Less good for the publishers because they rely on that stable income, that fee, that licensing. So maybe that will change. The model will change. But yeah, okay. So good thing Siri is working. Something's going on with Siri. Bad thing is for the publishers, for content guys like me, it's actually not so dependable. Okay, all right, moving on to the next phase. We've got, yeah, see? Oh, I think I messed it up somehow. Okay, all right. This was supposed to be the Apple article. Um, let's just go back and I'll just read out loud here. So, is a Guardian article. Massachusetts teen accused of killing mother and brother used ChatGPT to figure things out. That's probably not a good thing. A Massachusetts teenager accused of killing his mother and younger brother is being held without bail as authorities investigate a double murder case that prosecutors say is connected to his use of ChatGPT. Okay, blah, blah, blah. So where's the ChatGPT piece? Oh, he used the internet and ChatGPT to make searches for theoretical ideas or fantasy stories regarding the killing of his family. He was engaged in the use of ChatGPT in creating fantasy stories, kind of the gothic kind of novels, asking questions, creating characters. Okay, all right, thanks. I mean, I don't know. It's a big difference from kind of using ChatGPT to like figure out how to do it, and then another one to actually kind of create stories to do it. It's a bit of a rage bait. You can do better, Guardian. You can do better. Look, killing is not good. 100%. If you need me to tell you that, that's just, yeah, you should know. You should know. Killing is never a good thing. Using ChatGPT to use it, it doesn't frame ChatGPT in any bad light. You know, that person would have used the internet to do it, or ChatGPT, so it doesn't quite matter. I suppose he had ChatGPT as an outlet to create these stories so that, I don't know, it aided him in being able to process doing it, or maybe tactically figure out how to do it. I don't know. But these things would have existed anyway without ChatGPT, right? The internet would have allowed them. So I think to some degree, maybe it's even better in the sense there's more evidence against him. But ultimately, it's still not a good thing. He would have these tools anyway. So I can't say for sure that ChatGPT really contributed to that, even though that's kind of what the article is steering the narrative around. So you can do better, Guardian. Okay, all right, moving on. Let's go to this one. Yes, Microsoft kills off unsuccessful AI features while merging its separate Copilot apps. So TechCrunch article, it's merging its Copilot branded consumer and business apps and ditching a number of unsuccessful AI features. The tech giant will combine the functionality of its consumer-facing Copilot app and the more business-oriented Microsoft 365 Copilot. It's just better consolidation, I guess. Claude is merging co-work into chat. OpenAI merging its agentic feature into ChatGPT. Yeah, I guess they just figured out they were growing too fast, and so they're just putting things together a little bit cleaner to make it a better experience for their users. So good on Microsoft to do that. Ultimately, any kind of technological piece or interest is always a good thing, or progress is a good thing. So cool, very, very good. If you are a user of Microsoft products, please let us know whether you like this change in the comment section below. Okay, all right, moving on to the next section. Why don't we do that? All right, we are here in the tutorial section, and we've got two tutorials to do. We've got 6 high-paid AI-proof careers, and we've got every way to run open source AI models. So I didn't actually take a look at this video. Pick these careers before 2030. They're 180K and above, and I assume it's US dollars. And cool. Definitely let us know what you think in the comment section below, whether you like these videos. I would be interested in this. So generally, if I had to guess, I would probably say something agentic, something robotic. That's from the thumbnail. Probably something left field, like plumbing. Maybe teaching, academia, maybe, and then 2 more. I don't know what those are. So that would be my guess on what they actually would be. Yeah, cool. I generally think, careers-wise, I generally think that, it's a Venn diagram, right? So there's kind of the stuff that you're good at. There's the stuff that the market pays. And I think I saw one more as well. You're good at, you're good at kind of this ikigai thing, right? So you're good at what the market will pay and then what you like. And then, hopefully you're in the intersection. If you're lucky, getting 2 out of 3 is the best, is good enough. And if you can get, 3 out of 3, that's the best. But I think if I had some career advice, I think the best thing I've heard, and at least kind of what I like to do and what I've done, is everything before 40, just do everything. Do anything that you can. Everything, anything that you can. And after 40, decide what you're going to do and just focus on that. That's basically the advice I've heard, and that's the thing that I've tried to follow. I've had a brilliant career up to 40. I've done everything: military guy, defense consultant, MBA, venture capitalist, academic, model, sportsman, and then now I'm focusing on a few things. So I've really enjoyed that, and that would probably be my career advice more than anything else. But you didn't come here for my career advice, okay? So we're moving on to the next section, AI tool. All right, we are trending tools here. All right, we are going over here. Let's move on to here, which is trending tools. We've got 3 trending tools today for interactive voice and multimodal creators. Seed Real Time unifies vision, audio, speech within a single end-to-end framework. It can process live video feeds, listen, and respond simultaneously, handling real-time speech interruptions and set off visual cues. For the research and academic authors, we've got Fig Editor, creating clean, publication-ready diagrams for journal papers and conference talks. Usually require hours of tedious work in graphic software. That's pretty cool. That's something I could use. Quick hand-drawn sketches or reference photos into structured scientific illustrations. You ingest every label, pathway, and visual element inside your browser. Then export fully editable blah, blah, blah into something. Publication-grade scientific graphics without the design hassle. Well, imagine Canva is good enough, but okay. For the local AI developers and privacy advocates, running sophisticated AI agents usually means relying on expensive cloud servers. Muse Glimmer breaks that cloud dependency as an open source 30 billion parameter model tailored to run directly on consumer grade PC GPUs or Apple Silicon Macs. Okay, cool. Cool. Let us know what you think in the comment section below. Please use these tools, and I'd love to hear whether you like it or not, and what's good about it and what's terrible about it. Terrible. Okay, all right, let's move on to our final and last section. All right, we are moving on to our workout of the day. And here we've got learn new recipes and cooking techniques using AI in the kitchen. Now, I do a lot of stuff in the kitchen, so this is actually pretty good. I bake. I've actually used AI to figure out how to bake, actually, which is the best. I've got a sourdough starter called Dough Lord. Sorry, the father started off as Dough Lord. There's a spawn of Dough Lord, son of Dough Lord. Doughboy is his name, son of Dough Lord. And every single time we make something out of it, then it becomes spawn of Doughboy. Anyway, so that's my name for my sourdough starter. And so yeah, prompts to try, act as a missions trained executive, it's chef, and then you want to create a culinary experience, and then you've got these ingredients, you have restrictions, dietary restrictions, your skill level, and desired outcome with your recipe, technique, flavor pairing, or drink suggestions. That's pretty cool. Ingredient substitution, 0 waste, and how to execute this. That's actually a pretty clever way to use AI. Pretty cool. Generally, I use cooking by directions by basically with the sourdough, right? So I would say I've got this pan is yay big. you know, how do I adjust my measurements, my ingredients? If something goes wrong, I say what went wrong. So I diagnose errors, and yeah, those are generally it. I think it's worked very well for me, or that's right. Or if I have something in the refrigerator, I'm just recalling the prompt. If I have something left in the refrigerator, what can I make out of it? So I definitely use that. So AI is actually tremendously helpful for cooking, at least for me. So very, very cool prompt. Go give it a whirl and a spin, and let us know what you think in the comment section below. All right, we are done with this broadcast. Hopefully you enjoyed that, and you learned something new out of this. If you like what we do, always follow, subscribe, and you can get the full brief in the link in the description below. Have a great rest, and have a great rest of the weekend break, and see you next week. Ciao, ciao.